Hey guys, welcome back to NFL Trading Room. My name is Ben, and today we've got another fun video for you. We're going to be doing another mock draft. This one is following the last week of the college football season, right after rivalry week. So this is going to be a fun one. Couple disclaimers: the Big Ten is still not allowing people on YouTube to show all 22 clips. It's being copyrighted, so just keep that in mind as we move forward throughout this mock draft. Won't be able to show clips for guys like Arvell Reese or Caleb Downs, Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, guys like that. So just keep that in mind. Also, we are doing no trades. Probably don't want to do trades until we get closer and closer to draft time. See how the full order shakes out. Obviously, there would be some obvious trade down spots, like with the Titans at the first overall pick. But we're just going to stick with the set order that PFF has, and we're just going to roll with that. Well, let's get right into it. Starting off with the first overall pick, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. And I'm going to take who to me is the best player in this class, and that's Arvell Reese, the linebacker slash edge rusher out of Ohio State. Extremely athletic, dense build. I believe he's listed at 6'4", 245. Very explosive, both as a linebacker coming downhill and as an edge rusher. I would personally move him to edge rusher, maybe not full time, but for the majority of his snaps at the next level. But even at linebacker, he showed some plus coverage tape, especially recently. So that could be just another interesting avenue for him as a player. But the edge reps that he gets are insane. Has a great long arm, knows how to match pass rush moves together, which is pretty advanced for his inexperience at the position. And this is a Titans defense that's just devoid of talent. So take the best overall player, play him wherever you can, and roll with an all-pro for the next decade. Next up at second overall, the Giants are on the clock, and I went with a little bit of a controversial one here. You could definitely argue for receiver here, but I chose to take Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State. The back end of the Giants defense hasn't played very well, and you look at the rest of the board, Ruben Bain would have been definitely someone in consideration for this, but not like for this position in the draft, but not at the Giants specific pick because the Giants are pretty loaded at edge rusher. But I think Caleb Downs fills a need for them at safety. Could definitely argue, like I said, for guys like Jordan Tyson or Cardinal Tate at this position, but went with the safety here. I think that would really fix the back end of the Giants defense. And Caleb Downs is just a guy that is a plus athlete, has an immense understanding of the game, really smart between the ears, always seems to be in the right position, hits hard, is a great coverage defender, has good ball skills when he is targeted, very clean prospect, and just would be an excellent selection here. Next up, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock, and earlier in the season, I probably would have gone with quarterback here, but Tyler Shuck has played not fantastic, but probably well enough to where they're going to see how he can play next year, maybe with a little bit more help around him. But I'm going to take who to me is the best overall player left on the board, and that's Ruben Bain. The Saints' edge room is getting older. Chase Young is a free agent after this year. They may bring him back, but Cam Jordan almost certainly is going to retire at some point in the near future. And Ruben Bain is just an exceptional edge rusher. Very explosive at his size. It's kind of an interesting build. He's about 6'3", 270, 275 pounds. But an explosive athlete, very powerful hands, heavy hands, holds his gap well in run defense, and has powerful moves as a pass rusher. And that would really give the Saints defense some juice going into next season. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock, and I've got them going quarterback here. So the first quarterback off the board is going to be Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza has been my quarterback one for pretty much the entire process. Once we got out of summer scouting, he was my quarterback two, but Cade Klubnik was my quarterback one, and we know how that's gone for him. But I've loved Fernando Mendoza even last year at Cal. Just a really clean prospect, has the arm, not the best athlete, but definitely athletic enough to extend plays when they break down. Very accurate down the field. That's the first thing that jumps off to me. And as a processor, Indiana doesn't put a ton on his plate, but he's got the freedom to make checks at the line. When there is a structured defense that he's playing against, he processes it well, goes through the right reads, makes the right decisions, and plays with great timing. Seemingly always makes the right decisions on RPOs. So just a really clean prospect, and this would be an excellent selection for the Raiders. They can either start him as a rookie or have him sit behind Geno Smith for a year. Just depends on what they want to do. I'd probably throw Mendoza right into play. He seems very pro-ready to me, but this would be a great selection for the Raiders, hopefully getting that franchise quarterback. Next up, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock, and we're going to go back-to-back quarterbacks here. It's going to be Dante Moore, the quarterback out of Oregon. Dante Moore has vaulted into my quarterback two slot. Ty Simpson has slipped a little bit during this recent stretch. You've seen some of the accuracy issues from Simpson, which has caused him to go down a little bit. But Dante Moore has raised his play in recent weeks for sure, especially against USC. Just awesome tape. Washington even just makes really great throws, processes well. Oregon puts a lot on his plate as a processor, and I think he handles it exceptionally well. He's got the arm, he's got the accuracy, he's got the athleticism. He's not going to be a guy that you're running, quarterback draws or read options with a ton, but definitely athletic enough to scramble around and make plays with his feet, and just a really clean prospect for the overall lack of experience that he does have. And I think this would stabilize Cleveland's quarterback room, hopefully for once, and just give them a franchise guy under center. Next up with the Commanders, we've got our first receiver coming off the board is going to be Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson is just such a clean receiver prospect. Now, there is one thing, and it's the injury concerns. He does have not necessarily a CVS receipt of injury concerns, but it is decently lengthy in terms of the injury concerns. But beyond that, just a great build at 6'2", about 200 pounds, can play any of the three positions. He can play X, he can play slot, he can play Z. Really good route runner, great hands, is a ball winner in contested situations, and is a monster after the catch. You look at the Commanders' receiver room, Terry McLaurin is a great player, but he's been very injured this year. And then Deebo Samuel is probably getting towards the latter stages of his career, and I don't know that they're going to bring him back for 2026. And there's not a whole lot else in that receiver room. There are some young players like Jalen Lane, but nothing like Jordan Tyson. You pair Jordan Tyson with hopefully a healthy Terry McLaurin, that gives Jaden Daniels a couple of really, really good weapons to hopefully bounce back in 2026. Next up, the New York Jets are on the clock here at pick number 7. This is definitely a team that would look to move up in the event that they want a quarterback, which in all likelihood they will. And I'm going to have them go with Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson here. He's the next quarterback on my board. Ty Simpson, like I mentioned it during the Dante Moore breakdown, there have been some accuracy issues pop up in recent weeks, but still as a processor, he's handling things very well. Alabama puts a lot on his plate for someone so inexperienced. The arm is good. I do think at times he strains to get velocity on the ball. You don't necessarily want to see that, but overall the arm strength is good. And the release is pretty effortless. Sometimes you see it with the strain, it doesn't look as clean, but it's pretty effortless, and the footwork is really nice. So very technically clean prospect. And the accuracy was good earlier in the year. You've seen it drop off a little bit, but I still believe that it can be there. Still think he's worthy of a top 10 selection. And we'll see if he does come out in this draft class or not. I think he should if he's guaranteed to be a top 10 pick, but I think this would be a solid pick for the Jets. They've got an offensive line built up around him. They've got a true wide receiver one, and you can continue to add weapons to that offense to hopefully get this Jets thing turned around. Next up at pick number 8, the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock, and I'm going to go with probably the top offensive lineman in this class. That is, for me, Francis Mauigoa out of Miami. Francis Mauigoa is a guy that could play tackle at the next level, could play guard. I think he would be higher graded as a guard, but I think if a guy shows that they're capable of playing tackle, you have to play them. There's such a lack of good tackles in the NFL. You have to try a guy there just to see what he is. But Mauigoa, 6'6", 315 pounds, a good athlete with really good hand usage. When he gets latched on, it's like vice grip strength. He doesn't let go, doesn't fall off blocks really. And this is a pick that the Cardinals could absolutely use. You've got Paris Johnson at left tackle, who's continued to improve, has turned into a really solid young tackle on the left side. But on the right side, you've got Kelvin Beachum, who has been a bit of a journeyman of late, and definitely nearing the end stages of his career. So you can slide Mauigoa perfectly into that right tackle position and move on with your day, in my opinion, with this one. Next up, the Los Angeles Rams are on the clock at pick number 9. This is the pick they got from the Atlanta Falcons in the James Pierce trade this past draft. I've got them going with Tennessee cornerback Jermod McCoy. Jermod McCoy has not played in 2025, coming off that January ACL tear that he suffered. But still, you go back to the 2024 tape. Jermod McCoy was absolutely unbelievable for Tennessee in 2024. Really, I don't. If he tests well in the spring, I wouldn't be concerned about the injury history at all because it is an ACL, which is that's a bad injury. But other than that, he's been really healthy. Um, He's really good in man coverage, press man coverage, elite IQ in zone, excellent ball skills, a physical tackler, and has the length and the size to play outside. The Rams have been an excellent defense, and it's kind of hard to find a hole on their roster. But I think Jermon McCoy, even though the corners have been solid for the Rams, you get a possibly elite player like Jermon McCoy, you take that chance any day. And man, you stack him on the outside, that defense just becomes even more fearsome. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock, and I've actually got some movement on the interior of the defensive line. I'm going to go with Caleb Banks, who is my DT1 now on the interior of the defensive line, passing Peter Woods from Clemson. But Caleb Banks out of Florida has played just 3 games in 2025. He played against LSU early in the season. He was injured coming into the season. Played against LSU, re-hurt that same injury, or had that same injury pop up again, and then was out until they played Tennessee in Week 13. Played pretty well, and then played well against Florida State to close out the season. We're not going to get a bowl game from Florida, so that's about it for his 2025 tape. But man, he's 6'6", 330 pounds. You go back to the 2024 tape, it's elite athleticism with excellent pass rush juice, long arms, honestly moves like an edge rusher at 330 pounds, and just violent, active hands. And you saw the same things on his 2025 tape in the limited reps that he did have. Now, the athleticism wasn't up to where you may have expected it. I think that's mainly due to him not being in game shape, being out for that long. And you certainly saw the flashes of it in there. So I think he's absolutely worthy of a top 10 selection if the medicals are clean. And the Bengals absolutely need it. They have holes all over their defense. And I just think Caleb Banks would be the best option here. Definitely, hopefully fixes that interior of that defensive line. Next up are the Minnesota Vikings at pick number 11. I've got them going with a running back. It is going to be Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love is awesome. He's an excellent running back, extremely explosive, has great vision, has shown a lot as a pass catcher this year, which you love to see. Breaks tackles, has vertical ability in terms of hurdling. He's a strong player, runs through contact. Really anything you could want in a running back you get out of Jeremiah Love. And the Vikings, you could definitely go a couple different directions here, but Aaron Jones is definitely getting up there in age. I believe he's going to be 32 next season, which is old for a running back. And Jordan Mason, who they traded for from the 49ers, hasn't played great. He's been fine, but neither of those guys are going to provide the production that Jeremiah Love would theoretically provide in this offense. And they definitely have some offensive problems there this season. But you get Jeremiah Love, you get back to running the football, that opens things up for J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't looked great, but still just his first season as an NFL starter. So I think this will definitely take some of the load off his plate and be a good selection for the Vikings. Next up, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock at pick 12. I'm going to go with LSU cornerback Mansour Delane. Mansour Delane is just a really clean prospect. He's definitely a shorter or a smaller size profile than someone like Jermod McCoy. I believe he's officially listed at about 5'11", with much shorter arms, but definitely can stick on the outside. The one thing I do have concerns with him about is the long speed. There are times where deep down the field he does get stacked and more elite athletes can separate from him. But overall, really good change of direction and mirroring skills in man coverage and a good understanding of where to be and how to pass off routes in zone coverage, combined with good ball skills as well. And Miami, they need a lot. You could definitely argue receiver here. You could argue corner. But man, their corner room is rough. So I just chose to go with Mansour Delane here, get a good body in that corner room. Next up at pick 13, the Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock. This feels really strange to see the Chiefs this high in the draft. And we're going to go with a guy that's fallen. He's definitely higher on my board than where he's being drafted. It's going to be Ohio State receiver Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate is, I think, a slam dunk top 10 player in this class, arguably top 5. And I know there are 7 spots of draft picks between Tyson and Tate, but they are right next to each other in terms of grading for me. Carnell Tate has improved so much from 2024 to 2025. He's that X receiver that can win on the outside, has improved his route running tremendously, has stronger hands this year, is better playing through contact, and is even showing some rack capabilities, run after catch. So you add a true outside threat at receiver to the Chiefs' offense. That's something they've been missing on the outside. I think that really helps take some of the load off Patrick Mahomes' plate and makes that offense more explosive going into next season. Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock, and we're going to go with another receiver here, so back-to-back receivers. We're going to go with Mekhi Lemon, the receiver out of USC. Mekhi Lemon is so fun to watch. He's a short guy, 5'11", not super short, but definitely a guy that's not going to be an X receiver, but can win on the outside, has the speed to do it. He's not a burner, but he definitely has the speed to win on the outside. But he does most of his work from the slot. Great hands. I think he's the best route runner in this class. He can run any route in the book: comebacks, slants, posts, fades, digs, whatever you want to run with him. Whip routes, whatever, you can run it with Mekhi Lemon. And he's got excellent hands, like I mentioned, especially in contested situations. For his size, he is such a ball winner in contested situations. High points the football well, and gets a lot of yards after the catch. So you add that to a Steelers receiver room that could certainly use that next to DK Metcalf. And again, I've mentioned it in every mock draft, I'll believe Aaron Rodgers is retiring when I see it. So not going to go quarterback or anything like that here. Just going to get another weapon for that Steelers offense, which they desperately need. Next up, the Carolina Panthers are on the clock at pick 15. I think this pick has to be edge rusher, and I'm going to go with Keldrick Falk, the edge rusher out of Auburn. Keldrick Falk is more flash than consistency right now. Definitely has the traits to be a really good player at the next level. He's 6'6", probably in that 265-pound range, but has incredible length. He's a strong player. He's able to use arm over moves and swim moves and rip moves to use his length on offensive tackles, make them whiff in space, and get to the quarterback. He needs to be much better at finishing at the quarterback. That's something that he definitely needs to clean up at the next level, but gets a ton of pressures on the quarterback. I think his run defense tape was better last year than it is this year, but he's still a really good run defender. Not only does he set the edge well, but he's also able to knife in the backfield and make splash plays, and is just a really high upside player. The Panthers need an edge rusher with that type of profile. You look at their main 3 edge rushers this year: DJ Wanham, Nick Scorton, and Princely Umanmielen. Scorton and Umanmielen are both rookies, so they get a little bit of a pass, but none of them have a pressure rate over 10%, which is kind of that baseline that you want as a starting edge rusher. So hopefully Keldrick Falk for them gets in there and is able to provide more of that pass rush juice to that defense that needs it. Next up on the clock is the Dallas Cowboys, and I think I would go edge rusher here as well. It's going to be David Bailey, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. David Bailey is not the run defender that you may want, but he is an electric pass rusher. The skill sets may seem a little bit redundant with Donovan Ezeraku on that other side, but Dallas just needs guys to rush the passer, and David Bailey can absolutely do that. He's got a bevy of pass rushing moves. He's a good athlete. He's able to bend the corner. Not the bendiest athlete, but still able to close the arc and close to the quarterback. But even in a non-filmed sense, just has insane production. But he backs that up on the tape. Definitely still improving as a run defender. Going to have to get a lot better in that phase of the game. But maybe the best true pass rusher in this class. The Cowboys could definitely use some edge juice like that. Quick break in the mock draft. If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you go down below, drop a like, drop a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That will let us know that you're enjoying the content, and we'll continue to bring not only mock drafts, but also position rankings, player interviews, player breakdowns, whatever it may be to you throughout the rest of the draft season. But let's go ahead and get back into the mock draft. Now at pick number 17, the Detroit Lions are on the clock. I've been pretty consistent with this throughout the mock draft process. I think it has to be corner. You could argue for offensive line, but I think it's got to be corner. And I'm going to go with Colton Hood, the cornerback out of Tennessee. This is a pick I've made to them for a couple of mock drafts in a row. Colton Hood, although he had a little bit of a rough game against Vanderbilt this past weekend, just has been exceptional this year for Tennessee. Transferred in from Colorado, and with the injuries to not only Jermod McCoy, but Ricky Gibson, Tennessee's other starting cornerback, has stepped into that cornerback one role and has absolutely ran with it. He's got good length. He's a dense player at 6 foot 195. Doesn't have the ball production that you may look for, but teams just don't really target him a whole lot. And when they do, it's typically not a completion. Colton Hood is very physical in the run game, comes up and takes on blocks and tackles physically. He does miss a decent amount of tackles, but it's not for lack of physicality. Just needs to clean up the technique a little bit. But is really good in terms of press man coverage. The few zone reps that he does have, he shows really good IQ in being able to pass them off, and just understands positioning on the field well. And is not an overly explosive athlete, but an explosive athlete. He's got the recovery speed to recover if he does get beat downfield, and is just overall a really, really good cornerback prospect, something the Lions could definitely use on the outside. They've got Amik Robertson and DJ Reed on the outside who have been okay at times. DJ Reed definitely the better player there. Amik Robertson has definitely struggled at times this year, and Colton Hood would pair well with DJ Reed there on the outside. Next up, the Houston Texans are on the clock, and I've been consistent with this one as well. I think it's got to be offensive line. I'm going to go with my top remaining offensive lineman. That is Olai Vavenga Iwane, the left guard out of Penn State. Iwane is probably my favorite player in this class overall. Not top overall player, but probably my favorite player in this class. Just excellent in pass protection. The hand usage is exceptional. He's a really, really good athlete. But even in the run game, I don't think it's quite as dominant as maybe it was last year, but still moments where it's just an absolute mauler in the run game. Plays with really good hand placement, strong hands, strong arms, able to move players off their spot. Just pancakes galore on his tape. And man, you slide him into that Texans offensive line, it gets instantly better. You're able to protect C.J. Stroud much better. And this is a good start to getting that offensive line, continuing to build it up. And hopefully with him on the left side next to Ariante Ursary, who's a tackle they drafted last year out of Minnesota, you've got a good young left side of the offensive line there that you can move forward with. Next up, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock at pick 19, and this is where the slide is going to stop for Clemson defensive lineman Peter Woods. If this was the preseason, Peter Woods would be off the board within the top three. I believe he was my top overall player coming into the season, coming out of summer. The tape just hasn't really been there this year. There have been moments where you're like, okay, Peter Woods, that's what I'm talking about. But overall, the tape hasn't been up to the standard that he kind of set for himself. So definitely a guy that's sliding down my board. We'll see where he ultimately finishes up, but still a very talented player in both the run defense and in pass rush. And the Ravens, you've got the uncertainty of Justin Madubuike, and you've got some other talented players in that defensive line room. But if you hit on a guy like Peter Woods, if he gets back to playing how he was last year, that's a steal at pick number 19, and that's a guy you can stick in the middle of your defense and not worry about, the run game penetrating you, or you get the flashes in the pass rush from him as well. That's a guy that could be an all-pro at some point within the next decade if he continues to, or if he gets back to that level of playing and hits his ceiling. Next up at pick number 20, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to go with Ohio State linebacker Sonny Styles. I've been wanting the Bucks to take a linebacker for a while. I wanted them to take Jahad Campbell last year in last year's class. Um, and Levante David is the ageless wonder. He seems to just never drop off and play. He's awesome. I think he should be a future Hall of Famer. But Servassier Dennis, while I did think he was a young, talented player, he has really struggled this year, especially in pass coverage. So I think Sonny Styles is a decent pick here as an off-ball linebacker. Um, a converted safety at 6'4", 245 pounds. He's got a really good understanding of zone coverage, especially in hook zones over the middle of the field. And he's become much more physical as a run defender. He missed a lot of tackles last year for a linebacker, and he has cleaned that up tremendously this year. He is as sure a tackler as you're going to find at the position in 2025. And just you look at the athletic profile, you look at the run diagnostics. There are times where he gets a little bit out of position, but overall it's improved a lot. And you just look at the overall player, the athletic profile, the coverage tape, the tackling ability. That is something that the Buccaneers defense could certainly use, and that would definitely be a step in improving that defense overall. Next up, the Buffalo Bills are on the clock, and I'm going to get Josh Allen some help here in the form of Louisville wide receiver Chris Bell. Chris Bell is an athletic freak. He is 6'2", anywhere between 220 and 225 pounds, somewhere in that range. He is explosive. The way he can accelerate vertically is unbelievable. And he's not as stiff as you would expect maybe that body type to be. He's not, a joystick per se, but definitely is able to change direction fluidly, much more fluidly than you would expect at that size. The hands have come along. The route running has continued to come along. Still steps to take in that area of his game, but has definitely improved there and should continue to improve there. And is probably the best yards after catch threat in this entire class. He can catch a drag route and take it 90 yards. It's pretty incredible to watch. And you add that type of threat to this Bills offense where they need some explosivity. They've got their reliable weapons in the forms of Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. Probably need to use James Cook more out of the backfield as a pass catcher. But you could definitely use a high upside, explosive playmaker like Chris Bell on the outside, making plays downfield and also making plays in the short game with the run after catch. Next up, the Eagles are on the clock, and I'm going to take a cornerback here. It is going to be Avion Terrell out of Clemson. Can definitely argue for edge rusher here, but I really like Avion Terrell out of Clemson. He is a short, small player, 5'11", which isn't that short, but 180 pounds is definitely light for a corner. So there's some concerns of do you move him into slot? Is he strong enough to take on blocks in the run game as a slot? Do you move him outside where you could potentially get bodied at the catch point? I just think he's a really solid overall player regardless of the size. He's a really good athlete. He's fluid. The main coverage is really good. The zone IQ, especially covering the flats in either Tampa 2 or if it's a cover 3 invert, covering those flat zones, he does an exceptional job at finding the football, passing off route concepts, stuff like that. But my favorite part of his game is his ability to force turnovers. He had, I believe it's 5 forced fumbles in 2025, which as a corner is absurd. You don't get a lot of corners that get that in a career. But Avion Terrell got that in one season of college football. Just a really fun player, feisty player, and I think he can play outside. So you would have Quinyon Mitchell and Avion Terrell on the outside and Cooper DeJean at the nickel. That is a really good quarterback trio overall for the Eagles there to continue to just add to that defense. Next up, the Jets are on the clock. Once again, this is their pick from the Colts trade, from the Sauce Gardner trade at the trade deadline. I'm going to go with a receiver here to pair with their new young quarterback, Ty Simpson. It is going to be Casey Concepcion, the receiver out of Texas A&M. Casey Concepcion may be the most fluid athlete of this receiver group. It's definitely debatable, but just really quick feet, elite change of direction skills, has burning speed down the field, has improved as a route runner. The hands still need to come along. The drop rate is a bit high, but man, just creates a ton of separation and would give the Jets a nice weapon next to Garrett Wilson, kind of complement their skill sets. and would give Ty Simpson a nice receiver duo to throw to. Next up, the 49ers are on the clock. They've had a ton of injuries this year, but have played decent through it. But one thing that sticks out to me anytime I look at the 49ers roster is the lack of talent in the defensive tackle room. They do have two rookies that I liked coming out of college, Alfred Collins and CJ West, but they haven't played very well. Definitely think there's room to improve there. But even their two listed starters haven't played well at all. So I think it's got to be interior defensive line here, and that's the position I've continued to select for them. This time it's going to be Kristen Miller, the defensive lineman out of Georgia. Kristen Miller does everything for that Georgia defense, even at 6'4", 305 pounds. Even sometimes plays a nose tackle position, but is probably best served as a three technique. Has shown good run defense, continuing to come along as a pass rusher. Has the athletic profile to be a really good player at the next level, and is definitely a player that the 49ers could use on the interior of that defense. Next up, the Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock. I've got them going with Oregon guard Emmanuel Pregnon. Emmanuel Pregnon is a really fun player to watch. He's a guy that I liked in summer scouting, but has definitely improved drastically up there at that Oregon program. He's got the hands and the athleticism and pass protection, has the drive power and finishing ability in the run game, and you stick Emmanuel Pregnon on that offensive line. Next season, hopefully you've got Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater back healthy. And then you've got Mekhi Becton, who has struggled a bit this year, but played very well last year for Philly. Hopefully he gets back to form. And you put Emmanuel Pregnon on that offensive line, you're starting to build something really special there, and hopefully keeps Justin Herbert much cleaner than he's been so far this season in terms of the sack total. Next up at pick 26, we've got the Cleveland Browns. This is the pick they received from the Jaguars in the Travis Hunter trade. I've got them going with Utah tackle Spencer Fano. Spencer Fano is still a player that I like, definitely not as much as I did in summer scouting. Really exceptional athlete, the best athlete at the position in this class, and has taken steps in pass protection. He's just not the same run blocker that I saw on last year's tape. That's definitely something I'd like to see come around if Utah gets a good bowl matchup and Spencer Fano does decide to play. The dominance in the run game just hasn't been there overall to the level that I thought it would be. So still a first-round player for me. Has slid a little bit in recent weeks for me, but definitely a good pick for that Browns offensive line that is aging, that just needs a shock of young talent. And you get your right side protector for Dante Moore in this situation. Could argue for receiver here, but I'd choose to build up the offensive line here, and Spencer Fano would be a solid pick for the Browns. Next up on the clock are the Dallas Cowboys. This is the pick they got from the Packers in the Micah Parsons trade. We went edge rusher earlier. I'm going to go corner here. It is going to be Keith Abney, the cornerback out of Arizona State. Keith Abney was definitely a favorite of mine in the summer, and he has continued to improve so far this year. 5'11", 195 is the size profile, but plays with good length, plays with good body positioning. I think is one of the best man coverage corners in this class. It definitely has some good reps in zone coverage as well. Has good ball skills when the ball is thrown his way, which is rare, and would just help Dallas on the outside in the cornerback position room going forward. Trayvon Diggs has continued to struggle, not just on the field, but also with injury as well. He's someone that I would expect that Dallas probably cuts in the offseason. So you can throw Keith Abney right into that position, and hopefully he continues to impress and play well. Next up at pick 28, we've got the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to continue to give them help on the interior of the offensive line. They've got Gray Zabel, who has had his moments this year as a rookie, moving in from tackle, coming out of North Dakota State. But man, Anthony Bradford on that other side, it's a rough watch on that Seahawks offensive line from that standpoint of things. So I'm going to take the best guard left on my board. That is Chase Bisontis, the left guard out of Texas A&M. Probably moving to right guard in this scenario. But Bisontis, really, really good pass protector. Maybe the best pass protector on the interior in this draft class. Plays with good hand placement. He's a former tackle, so he has the length and the athleticism to mirror twitchier interior rushers. Still want to see some of the run game come along. Not a overly dominant blocker in that terms of things, and not a guy that's going to get a ton of drive power, but has some clean reps in that form. But just super clean as a pass protector. Has the athleticism, has the traits, has the length, has the hand placement, has the footwork. There are some balance things that you see pop up, but that is mostly in the run game. But overall, I think this would be a really solid pick for Seattle. And you would have a good young guard duo moving forward with Gray Zabel and Chase Basantis. Next up, the Rams are on the clock at pick 29. And I wasn't sure really where to go here. I chose to go on the offensive line with, how far down is he? Arizona State right tackle Max. I believe it's Ahinakor is how you pronounce it. But he is definitely a my guy for me. I love his tape. Grading out right now, he's my first overall like true tackle. A lot of the other tackles that I have graded above him are guys you could see moving into the interior. Spencer Fano would be probably a true tackle, but there are some concerns I have where maybe he'd be better as a center or something like that. But Max Ahinakor is a true tackle, and he's playing right tackle, which would be the position that the Rams would be looking for in the event that they took a tackle here. Alaric Jackson has played very well on the left side for them. And on the right side, Rob Havenstein, continuing to get older, has had some injuries this year. They have played Warren McClendon there at right tackle, and he's played pretty well. But Max Ahinakor, I think, is a guy that has those true tackle traits with the length, the size profile, and the athleticism. He was just a guy that I've been really impressed with anytime I've turned on his tape. I think would be a really good pick here for the Rams. Next up, the Denver Broncos are on the clock at pick 30. And with this pick, they've been looking for that joker at tight end. They've tried to use it in the form of Evan Ingram. He's continued to be banged up and isn't the athlete that he used to be. I think Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon, would be the perfect selection here. Kenyon Sadiq, insanely athletic, just probably as good an athlete as you're going to find at the tight end position. 6'3", 245, so not a monster tight end like you would think, but still decent size. And competes as run blocker, which is a rarity in this tight end class. You see a lot of guys that maybe they give effort, but it's not to the degree that Kenyon Sadiq does. The technique still needs to come along, but he gives it his all in the run game. Still improving as a route runner. Pretty raw there in terms of his route tree, but just an exceptional athlete. Just get the ball in his hands and let him go to work after the catch. Can also be a vertical threat down the seam. Has improved the hands on a rate basis. Continue to be productive down the stretch here. And would just be a really, really good addition to that Denver offense with how many RPOs they run, getting him the ball in that quick game. Next up, the Chicago Bears are on the clock. And they could certainly use some interior defensive line help next to Gervon Dexter, who continues to play well. I'm going to go with Iowa State defensive lineman Dominique Orange. Dominique Orange, a.k.a. Big Citrus, such a fun player, such a fun guy to watch. 6'4", 325 pounds. Could be a true nose tackle, but also has the athleticism to play three technique if he wants to. Really, really solid run defender. Has some really splashy moments as a pass rusher. Not a complete pass rusher, but has the reps that you see where you're like, okay, he could be something down the road as a pass rusher. But just overall, a really, really solid player. You're going to get that great run defense from him. Put that next to Gervon Dexter, that defense becomes even more lethal. And the Bears, as they continue to overachieve, just add another talented player to that defensive front. And rounding out this draft at pick 32, the Patriots are on the clock, and I'm going to take Texas A&M edge rusher Cassius Howell. Cassius Howell has been a guy that I've really liked, throughout the draft process. I liked him in the summer, and I continue to like him during the scouting process as we go this fall. Is undersized. He's about 6'2", maybe 245, 250 pounds, has really short arms. And there are some times where that gives him some trouble, but overall mitigates it pretty well. has the athleticism, has a really good ghost move, one of the better swing moves you'll see. So has the pass rush bag, if you want to call it that. I'm not a big pass rush bag guy. I don't really care if you have 7 moves if none of them are effective, but he's got 3 to 4 really, really effective moves. And while he's not a good run defender per se, it's not as bad as you would think for someone that's that undersized. He competes in that phase of the game and is able to make some splash plays as well. And is when they do drop him in coverage, he's a really good player in zone cover or player dropping into coverage. Looks like a linebacker when he's covering a tight end, for example. So I think he'd really fit in that Mike Vrabel defense, a versatile player. Kind of could fill that Harold Landry role in some senses, as Harold Landry has played well this year, but is getting up there in age. So just adds another pass rusher to that room and would be a solid pick for that New England defense. All right, guys, that does it for this mock draft. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, if you enjoyed the video, go down below, drop a like, drop a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We'll continue to bring content like this to you throughout the draft season. Thank you for tuning in to NFL Trading Room. This has been Ben, and we'll see you guys next time.